All right, everybody, and welcome back once again to Stream Punk Reacts. I'm Scott alongside Mr. Obie Spencer and also Mr. JD Walker, and we have here the Indian sport of Kabaddi, which has been around since 1936 and when it made its first official debut in the Olympics, and quite literally, it is competitive tag. You have 7 players on each side. You have one person, in this case, the guy in red is referred to as a raider, and his job is to basically cross the line and tag as many people as he can without being pushed out of bounds or actually tackled or in some way unable to get back to his home base. This is a huge sport in India itself. A lot of dexterity, a lot of speed, and you get 1 point for every single person you touch as long as you can get back safely in one piece. 20 minutes on each half, 5-minute break in the middle, 10 meter by 13 meter field for the men, and 8 by 10 for the women. So, Obie, give me some thoughts, sir.
Wow. Looks like he got him there.
Ooh, yeah.
This is, so it's, let me make sure I understand this. When you are the raider, it's 7-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of your team sits back and cheers you on. I imagine each person does a raid, so you get 7 raids per team or something like that. That seems to make sense. So this is exciting to me now. Is this I'm sorry. Is this the one I'm grading, or is this the one I'm just enjoying here?
Oh, you're gonna enjoy. We're gonna grade everybody later.
Oh, okay, yeah. So no, this looks fun. I think. There's hitting. I like that. Good tackle.
Was he over the line?
Who cares? I don't think Barry didn't clear the line. It's like got some rugby tackles in it, not American football hits, but definitely rugby tackles. Those are always good and abusive. That's good. Okay. Yeah, I like it.
So right now, blue team is losing pretty badly. The whole thing in this case here is if you are able to get all 7, then you get 7 points plus an additional 2 for what they call an all-out. Again, in this case, it's just very simply 20 minutes on each half. There's 5 substitutes also, so it's a 12-person team, only 7 on the field at any one time.
So the raider, the one tag person trying to go against the other 7, if the 7, he gets as many as he can before the 7 tackle him?
Yes.
Is that how this works?
Yeah, and then basically he doesn't have to cross the line if he doesn't want to. If he wants to kind of keep continuing to tag and also risk everything. If he comes back, I believe then basically the next person has to take over. It doesn't matter, by the way, how you do it. So if you do it with a foot, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
if you end up kicking a guy in the head, it's still down.
Yeah, there's one guy almost just kicked him in the face.
Yeah. But,
and then it gets like dodgeball, where if you get the tag, the guy goes out. Ooh, look at it.
Yeah, if they're unable to get back, then yeah.
If you can tag a wrench, you can tag a ball.
If you can tag a wrench, you can tag a ball.
You can tag a wrench, you can tag a guy.
But yeah, it's honestly, it's on the surface, people think, okay, competitive tag sounds really, really lame and stupid. But truth be told, there's a lot to this.
Well, I think calling this competitive tag is the stupid part, because it's not competitive tag. It's something different altogether. I mean, tagging is what you're doing, but I would not call this competitive tag. You said competitive tag. It's not what I thought I was going to say.
Yeah, no. But this is the kind of stuff that, when we were growing up in the 80s and the 90s, this would be the kind of stuff that you would play in school. When we were in Boy Scouts on camping trips, I could 100% see us playing sports like this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, this has playground all over it.
Yeah.
It's small. It's rough housing.
This is definitely one of those playground games which is like no longer considered safe in at schools in 2022. But definitely, it definitely was part of no holds barred games in the 80s.
Yes.
You know what's odd? I mean, I know one time you brought us Gaga, which in my neck of the woods is abundantly popular already. So to call it a store was weird. But I know I worked with, for a long period of time, a large contingent of Indian Peninsulan folks, both India and Pakistani, and they never. This is not a sport they talked about playing or getting. I mean, they would get together and play cricket. They would get together and play soccer, but this was not a sport that they talked about getting together. And you would think, and they were all at a college together. You would think that they would get together and play this game. This looks like a fun game, to be honest. The more we watched it, the more I'm like, yeah, playground, absolutely. Let's go at it. Let's go play this as opposed to butts up or running bases.
All right, now it's grading time. Like I said, this is Stream Punk Sports, Stream Punks Reacts. So we're going to be talking about what we think about the sport of Kabaddi. JD, your grade, sir.
I'm going to give this a 6 for obscurity. As Obie mentioned, I've worked with folks similar to that. I've worked with folks in India, and I've never heard them talk about this. For folks in India, Sri Lanka, the subcontinent, let's say. And I hear about cricket and soccer, very popular over there. Never heard of this, but it is part of an existing game. So I'll give it a 6 for obscurity. Little bit is where I've never seen it in this competitive form, but it's parts of familiar games. 7 for badassery, because anything that involves rugby tackles on a hard court, that requires a certain level of badassery, lots of injury.
In short, without actually any kind of body armor on either.
Right, exactly. 8 for playability, because it is a playground type game. Let's say old style playground games, before things like liability and safety were commonplace. 8 for watchability. This is way more entertaining than I thought. If you had told me to watch competitive tag, I would think, oh, this is boring. But that was actually pretty good. I could see myself watching that for a little bit. 9 for bettability. There's so much you could do with this. How many players will you tag in one round? How many rounds does it take? What's the final score? Point spread? There's lots of different ways that you could go with this. So I'd say this is one of the better ones that we've looked at so far.
Nice. So credit to India on this case. It is JD approved. All right. So I'm going to take the next one in this case. Obscurity, I think I have to give this a 7. Again, this is not something I think people outside of India or even like the Asian community is really that familiar with. There might be a small little niche here in the US, just a little pocket of people that kind of do it, maybe a college campus kind of a thing, just for the fun of it. 7 for obscurity. Badassery, 8. The fact that on the surface this is competitive tag sounds really, like I said, just poor. But when you look at what's involved, you look at the dexterity, the speed that's required, the reaction time, and obviously not even including the tackle part of it and all that. I mean, there is a degree of badassery, hardcore with a sport like this. And 8 for me. Playability, I got to give this a 9. You gave, I think, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going like 7, 8, and 9, I think, to start this off. Because anybody can pretty much play this. Maybe only to their kind of level, but this is something that doesn't require equipment. This is not something that requires a lot of space. It just requires a section, a bunch of people, and just yourself. And I think that playability aspect of it, I think, is big. Watchability, I got to give it a 6. I think it's enjoyable for a match or two, but I don't think it's going to keep my interest really that long. And I think something like this, I would not really want to basically hold a lot of attention with. I think it wouldn't hold me that well. Bettability, though, I was originally going to start this off a little lower, but JD, you brought up some really good points here. And I think there is a lot more that you can bet on with something like this than I had initially thought. So I'm going to go with an 8 here. I think what, the final score is, the spread on this, how many, points, how many rates, how many all-outs. Like I said, can somebody actually tag all 7 of them? It's possible. There is a lot that I think Vegas could make money on a sport like this if they decided to do it. So, again, I approve the sport. I like the sport. Definitely one of the better ones that we've done. And frankly, from an unlikely source, tag. Obie?
All right. Good. Looks like the mic is working. I was having some trouble there. All right. So, obscurity. I'm going to go higher than either of you guys. I think when JD, I'm echoing your sentiments when I'm giving this an 8. As I said earlier, I know too many people from that culture to have never heard of this game, and then to see it done in a very professional manner. So I'm going to call it extremely obscure because it sounds like almost, I'm thinking of this almost like cornhole was before the
I was just thinking the same thing.
Because cornhole,
I
was watching it today. These people have been having cornhole championships for like 8, 9, 10 years that have been televised, but nobody knows about it. They've looked professional, but it didn't kind of come out. And yet everybody knows cornhole in America, has played it at a barbecue. But I am going to call it higher at an 8. Badass, I'm coming in less than you guys. And for some of the reasons that we've talked about on its playability. At the uppermost level, it looks like there could be some injuries and whatnot, and we may not want it on the playground, but it's still kind of a game that I think we all thought of as a playground game, which is why playability, 9. Like, absolutely. Like, this looks better, like I mentioned. Better than Butts Up, better than Running Bases, better than Tag. A fun game. You could definitely see kids just, back in our day when we had wood chips, you could see some kids going out, drawing the squares, drawing the lines, and getting to it. Absolutely playable. I didn't hear the number you gave, Scott, but you echoed my thoughts on watchability. This is kind of low on for me. Only like a 5 because it does look like it could get boring after a while, just seeing the tag, which would kind of help keep it more obscure. The flip side to that is I'm going all the way to 10 on bettability. There is so much you can gamble on this game. Who's going to win? Over, under, right off the bat. Spread on there. And then on each individual player, all the prop bets that you can do on them, especially if the way we understand it is correct, everybody goes, how many all-outs, just the number of things that you can do, especially once you start getting into live betting, hugely bettable, which is only going to raise its visibility because that's really what sports are going to become to now. So huge there with the 10 again on bettability. Absolutely, though. Glad to get my feet wet on this version of Obscure Sports with this one.
So, overall, JD, thumbs up on this or thumbs down?
Oh, thumbs up on this one for sure.
Obie?
Oh, thumb up.
Same here. So, basically, 3 thumbs up on this show for the Indian sport of Kabaddi. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any other sports that you want us to cover, and we do have a list of basically sports that are growing on the side, let us know in the comments. Drop me a message at streampunksports@gmail.com. I'm Scott Schertzen. That's Mr. Obie Spencer. And that is Mr. JD Walker. Like, comment, subscribe. Hate, comment, and subscribe. I'll take whatever you got there. Thanks as always. Appreciate it. Stay awesome.